was injured in the military. It ended up making me where I couldn't walk, and a chiropractor was the one that ended up saving me.
How are you able to kind of compartmentalize that and then go on to treating your next round patient?
One of the days that was the hardest in practice was one of my patients that I found lung cancer on.
Oh, man.
And I had to refer her to an oncologist.
Sure.
And knowing that that was terminal. When you're working with your friends, there's always that comparison. A lot of the times we focus on the numbers, where one would be like, I saw 100 today, and the next would be like, I saw 105. When they're 20 to 40 years older than you can't really relate to them, especially when you're on the same path money-wise as they are. I don't want them to know that I'm struggling from some personal aspect of my life because I want to pretend that I'm.
Welcome to the Legacy and Wealth Podcast, a show for proven, high-earning men who value wealth, character, and a lasting legacy. Brought to you by The Standard, a private membership community for high performers. My name is Mitchell Clark, and today I'm joined by fellow Standard member, Zak Bloom.
It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on. Let's start off with the first question. How do you currently make money right now?
I'm a Doctor of Chiropractic, so my main revenue comes from my personal chiropractic office. And so I practice in Burleson, Texas. I own Quantum Chiropractic, and then I also own some other chiropractic clinics and a marketing company.
Okay. How many? So do you just have the one and then others that you own underneath you, or how does the practice look right now?
Yeah, so my main revenue comes from my personal office, and then I have two others that are very successful, and then a few others that we're working on and building up.
Fair enough. Okay. How's that probably? What got you into the chiropractor space?
Yeah, so I was actually in the Air Force for about 13 years before becoming a chiropractor, and with that, I was injured in the military, and I had a couple blown discs from an injury I sustained overseas. It ended up making me where I couldn't walk, and a chiropractor was the one that ended up saving me. Okay. And as that went through that journey, it was more than just a physical transformation. He actually brought me mentally back as well.
That's awesome.
And I got to tell that story over and over again until I finally told the story to the president of the chiropractic college that I attended.
Okay.
And then he recruited me to become a chiropractor and opened up my eyes to a profession that has not only just changed my life, but it's become a deep part of me.
Okay, you definitely seem passionate about that. I love this too because I was also in the military as an infantry officer. And I remember when I was in Fort Benning, we would go through school after school out in the field and everything else. And there was like a chiropractic practice that was just off post. And I would go there every single week. Like every time I'd have like some ache in my ankle or my knee would feel tweak after air assault school or something like that. And somehow he was always able to put me back in working order before I went back out and screwed my body up some more. Or I remember one time I was deadlifting and I hurt something in my back, and I was in a lot of pain for a while, and he was able to get me on some sort of a treatment plan that got me back into fighting shape before I had to go off to Ranger school. So yeah, I don't know I don't know that much about the field, but I do know they got that magic hands, man. I don't know. I love it. So yeah.
Just like chiropractic is in almost every professional sport now. Every NFL team, except for maybe two, have a professional chiropractor. They have them on staff. Yeah. So the chiropractic has been shown, especially with athletes, to help tremendously, and as well with kids all the way to the older ages. Mm-hmm. But with that, a lot of people don't think that militaries are elite athletes, but they actually go through harder training than most professional athletes. Mm-hmm. They just have more stress, so they don't look like it.
Yes. Yeah. They get put through the ringer a lot more. It's not because you don't have NBA athletes that have to sleep out in the field in the dirt for like a week at a time before getting redeployed back out into the Middle East or wherever. So yeah, no, I respect that. So what else do you like about, so you went to the chiropractic school and you've kind of been on that journey. What do you like most about like the field of, how do you like chiropractic? I don't know what you would define that as.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just practicing chiropractic. Okay. And so, there's not really a verb for it.
Okay, fair enough.
You adjust the spine, you assess the spine, is the verbiage.
Sure.
So why I love chiropractic so much is it doesn't just focus on one aspect. We're not like a surgeon where we just focus on gut health. We don't just focus on an extremity like a knee injury, and we don't just rehab that. We really look at the human as a whole. And so we're looking at how the brain controls the body, and it does it through the nervous system. You have 31 pairs of spinal nerves with over 300,000 nerve endings.
Sure.
They're all protected by the muscles and ligaments, and most importantly, the 24 moving segments called vertebra, and they move in roughly 14 different directions. So my job is to assess that and see what caused the trauma.
Yeah.
Was it a physical trauma? Was it a big one like a car wreck? Was it micro traumas like posture, which we all have such a problem with today? How we think even can affect our spine because we get into this emotional bundle and that we just bind up. Or even what we eat, those toxins in our bodies are super affecting our gut health, and that in turn affects our nervous system. So when you're adjusting the spine, it's down-regulating. It's making that connection back to the body so then it can upregulate and really take over and start to heal itself, and it will start to crave the things you need.
Sure.
Correct posture, correct food, everything can kind of work itself out. Not saying that chiropractic care is the miracle for everybody,
Right.
but it could be.
No, for sure. Well, it seems that you're also speaking from personal experience. How has it helped you in your personal health and personal life?
I mean, it's completely changed my life.
Yeah.
If I mess up and eat some fast food, I immediately know that is a toxin in my body. My body will let me know. So the more I get adjusted and the more regular I stay, the more my body adapts, and it tells us what is wrong and what's right. So I like to think of this as food poisoning.
Sure.
When you have food poisoning, you think you're sick. Really, that's your body expressing health. That means that you ate something that your body didn't like, and it's rejecting it.
Sure.
And so it's going to go out both ends.
It'd be more concerning if your body just accepted the toxin as it was without any sort of ejection mechanism or anything like that. Yeah.
100%.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And so with that, I mean, I get adjusted anywhere from 1 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
And I will make sure I stay regular.
So you say the chiropractor also has a chiropractor.
100%.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, we can't adjust ourselves. It doesn't work that way. I wish I could. Every chiropractor thinks that they're the best adjuster in the world, and they wish they could adjust themselves.
Sure.
But in all reality, we have to find somebody we trust as well. Luckily enough, a lot of my friends are chiropractors, and we take care of each other.
Okay.
Not only on that friendship, emotional level, but we get each other well adjusted. We keep each other on track.
So let's say I were to come into your clinic that day. Let's say brand new patient, I'm coming in and I got a little lower back pain maybe on my left side, and I come kind of complain to you about that. How would you start me off? Like, what would your kind of treatment algorithms look? Where would you start me off with?
Yeah, so that's why I take the x-rays is I base it off of a scale of damage. So if there is degeneration, if there's bone spurs, if we're seeing that there's damage to the joint itself, then I'm going to evaluate that joint. Either way, we're going to do an evaluation on the joint, but it's going to tell me what evaluations to do, what orthopedic test, and then that will help me determine, and then I'm going to see you the next day.
Sure.
The next day is where I'm going to adjust you again. I'm going to do the same exams. I'm going to make sure that everything is going in the right direction. If not, I'm going to change something. And your body has muscle memory. That's what creates when you have an injured joint and then you put stress on it, it re-injures that joint. The same thing as if you were to sprain your ankle and that ankle now has damage in it. You're more likely to sprain it again. This is just on a spinal level. So in our minds, that's so much more important because that's protecting the most vital system. So that's where we get that repetition in and we see how your body's responding. And then every 6 visits or about 30 days as well, I'm going to do a re-exam just to make sure we're always on the right track.
Sure.
You're going to know, you're going to feel it. That's the best part about it. But we're also going to be checking to see how the nervous flow is going, how your muscles and ligaments are responding. Is the bone moving appropriately? And that's going to be over the repetition of the care.
Okay. Well, let's go. I wanted to ask you about, because I know we talked a little about the military. Kind of give me a timeline. Where'd you grow up, and then how did you find yourself into the place where you're at now?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town in Oklahoma, Tahlequah, Oklahoma.
Okay.
And so it's the Cherokee capital.
Okay.
A lot of people over kind of by Tulsa area.
Okay.
A very unknown area. We have a lake there called Ten Killer Lake, and then the Illinois River runs through there, and that's kind of what we're known for.
Sure.
Other than that, people don't really know where that is on the map. So I grew up there. I will say, kind of came from a little bit of a humble beginnings. I had great parents. Really appreciate them and everything they did for me. But when it came to going to college, I just wasn't prepared after going to a high school like Tahlequah High School. So when I was presented with going to the military, I was very excited about something that I could excel in. And, you know, I was definitely a patriot being in Oklahoma.
Sure.
We wanted to fight for the freedom, especially as you can see over the last couple decades how much America's changed. And so we were really fighting for that freedom and making sure that we're giving the country what it needs.
Okay.
And from there, I transitioned to chiropractic. You know, I was still in the military all the way through opening my first office. And, you know, going through school while still flying missions, it was a lot.
I'm sure.
In fact, my teachers never thought I was going to pass, but we always ended up passing. And that just came down to the systems I had in play, the friends that I had in school, and really the study groups and the accountability that my teachers gave me and my fellow classmates.
Okay. So it seemed like there's a little bit of team effort. You had a class that you were going through with, were they kind of helping you keep you accountable to keep you on track, or how was that process?
Yeah, so you know, in medical school, they say look to your left, look to your right. One of these people is going to fail. The next one is probably your competition in the future. Chiropractic college doesn't have that.
Okay.
When we first got there, they said, look to your left, that's going to be your best friend. Look to your right, you're going to probably be in their wedding. That's so true. I was in 22 weddings when I graduated chiropractic college.
That is amazing.
Most of that's through the fraternity. A couple of those were some military friends, but it was a lot of weddings back to back, and it was a lot of fun. But it just shows the connection of the people, because we're a people-first profession. And so we really build that human-to-human connection, and that's why I value this so much, is because in a world of AI where everything is going towards the internet and losing connection, we're scrolling on our phones, we're losing the ability to communicate. I feel like chiropractic is the complete opposite and will never go away, because we're always working on our communication, we're always working with people, and we're really trying to connect and help build our communities to be the best communities possible.
That's amazing, and I want to talk about this. You know, you going through this time period, going through chiropractic school while you were in the military. I can't imagine, you know, both serving your country in one capacity and also building your dream pipeline on the other side. Tell me about that period of time. How were you able to pull that off?
One, I was very blessed with a good command.
Okay.
And so we worked very good on making sure that I was on appropriate training missions or mission essentials that were a little high end. So I kind of got to pick and choose which missions I got to go on. And they were usually a little bit shorter missions. And I kind of got to dictate my plans since I was the planner.
Okay.
And so I would have myself dropped off in Oklahoma City sometimes. That way I can make it to practice in time, or make it to when I was in school.
Okay.
I would make sure that I landed in San Francisco versus anywhere else. And then I would make it to my class on time. So with that, I mean, there was a lot of ups and downs with that as well.
Sure.
And, you know, some struggles. There was times where the missions would get very real, and there would be some pretty hard struggles there, and I would have to walk right into an exam. That's where I was blessed. For one, I was in the Air Force, so I was most likely on a plane before I would land back in the United States, and I would have that time and I would study.
Okay.
So sleep was non-existent to me. I would say throughout my whole career, that's kind of the biggest thing that I've put aside to make sure that I will make growth throughout everything.
Yeah.
But really, that's where I would sacrifice time and I would study, and my classmates, if I got there in time, would quiz me right before, which would help them. And then we'd walk into the test, and I'd be like, all right, let's go.
That sounds like a great brotherhood, man. That sounds like you had some battle buddies, if I can use that term, both on the military and also on the chiropractic side. How important were they in ensuring your success going through chiropractic school at the same time?
I mean, throughout my whole life, that's been the key thing, making sure that I have those friends that can get me here. I'm not the smartest guy in the room by any means. Probably the only reason that I'm successful at all is I have a really good ability to bring people together and delegate. And that's what we kind of did. We had definitely a team. And so when I was in the United States or at school, Sundays, I would throw barbecues. Sure. So I would feed everybody to try to get them over to help me study.
That's awesome.
I definitely use bribery to try to get as many people.
Whatever it takes, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And, the same thing in the Air Force. Like, we all always talk about the mission can't be successful unless you do it with your wingmen. Mm-hmm. And that's where after action reports and everything come in, so you're as efficient as possible. I took that same mentality to school. I really would take my classmates, and we would go together and train, and we would make sure that we were quizzing each other. Palpating is where you feel the spine. Yeah. Like, every time that we were palpating or working on muscle groups, trying to do some sort of our tactile learning, I would try having them quiz me on, the Krebs cycle or any sort of chemistry level that I might not understand. That way, when I do take those tests, I could kind of put them all together.
Okay, that's incredible. And so you went through, you made it. Let me ask you, whether it was in your business once you actually got started up or during these formative years, what was one of the worst days that you had?
Oh, I mean, I'll tell you, there's a lot of failures. In school. I may never have failed a class, but I definitely fell short in a lot of areas. When it came to business, kind of the same thing. And I would say the biggest thing is when you become tired and you're not attentive to patient care is when you're burning out and you need a break. Luckily, my passion carried me through.
Okay.
And so, definitely one of the days that was the hardest in practice was one of my patients that I found lung cancer on.
Oh, man.
And I had to refer her to an oncologist.
Sure.
And knowing that was terminal. And they disappeared on me. I took care of her whole family.
Really?
And that was in the back of my mind for a couple weeks. And then, you were able to kind of, as you grow as a practitioner, you can compartmentalize. Mm-hmm. So you can work through some things. That way I never take one patient into the next, because that can really destroy somebody else's healing.
Sure.
As the process kind of goes. But when the son came back, it was about a year later, between a year and a year and a half later. And when that man grabbed me, and that was the biggest the biggest human connection that I've ever felt.
Oh my gosh.
And he thanked me because he got 6 more months with his mom. That day was almost a wash the rest of the day.
I'm sure.
It was really hard to keep it together. Luckily, it was towards the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it still gets me choked up to this day.
Yeah.
Just because of the impact that it gave that family. And, I still get to take care of that family till today. And it's such a blessing to get to see the different generation from the mom to the son to their kids. And then hopefully I get to take care of their grandkids.
Was that a finding on an incidental? Like, you just came in and you saw it on an x-ray and then just sent them off?
100%.
Okay.
As a chiropractor, I'm not really there to diagnose patients. Sure. That's not my job. I'm there to assess how the brain's communicating with the body.
All right.
That was definitely an incidental finding. And luckily, I had really good schooling that they taught us a lot about x-rays. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to send that to the oncologist. And I had a good relationship with him as well.
Sure.
So I got them right in. And having those relationships with medical providers as well has helped me throughout my whole career. But that one in particularly, just the impact and being able to get her right in and seen right away. And then everybody's information lining up, and they took the rest of her money and just spent it in Europe. And that was her dream. So she ended up passing away over there in Europe as well. But it was
on the trip.
On the trip.
Was that kind of the intent? They're like, hey, let's go over here. So if you're going to pass away, it's, beautiful place with loved ones or.
Yeah, they wanted to exhaust her money. And, they were either going to exhaust the money or exhaust her time.
Okay.
And the time came first.
Man, you're still in contact with the family to this day?
Yeah, I still get to treat the family.
That's amazing. How does that feel whenever they come in there? Is that usually a good day, a sad day, or have you grown a little bit closer with them since that experience?
Yeah, I mean, we just like all our patients, as we take care of them for years, we get connections with them, and so I mean, the first couple months were hard, just because they would still tear up, thanking me, and that gratitude would hit me really deep. Now it's high fives and hugs because we're taking care of their new kids. I think. Right now they have a 6-month-old, and so that's celebrating the new life.
That's so good. This makes me a little emotional too because in a similar stance. So I grew up in a single mom household for my entire life, and we had just enough medical coverage that actually covered a chiropractic visit. I think we could only go once a month, but I remember his name to this day, Dr. Eric. He was a chiropractor that we had because my mom was a big believer in holistic wellness and all these different things too. And I remember, both from when my mom got married to when she was divorced, we lived in an apartment for a couple of years. We lived in Section 8 housing. I mean, we went through the ups and downs for like a decade plus or whatever. And he was almost like a family friend of ours because I remember there was a certain point we didn't have medical coverage and he still adjusted us anyway. It was just like that one thing a week we looked forward to. We went over there and he gave us like lollipops or whatever. Like he was a family friend. And so when you tell me this story, it reminded me of it's weird. You don't expect that. It's like it's a chiropractor. You're just going to see them, get your back adjusted and everything else. But he was a family friend. Funny story too. He also was a practicing samurai, and I was taking martial arts at the time. And I remember he came into our martial arts studio and he did a sword demonstration. I'm like, what? My chiropractor's a samurai too? What is this? This is amazing. But no, I can definitely sympathize with the impact that you have on families and that it's not just the adjustments you're doing, but also that relationship quality with them, which it seems just getting to know you even in this little amount of time, there's a personality that you're also bringing to the relationship with them as well.
I mean, that's the best part about chiropractic is, you go to the MD, you wait an hour, you get 5 seconds with them.
Sure.
There's some good, great MDs that still connect.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But as a chiropractor, I get more touches. And that's just the nature of the care. And, being able to build that connection with people, I believe is why we all kind of chiropractors think we're a little bit of local superheroes.
Yeah.
We could be summarized or all the way to just pumping people up in the gym. And that's why I love chiropractic so much.
Yeah, that's amazing. What was throughout your time, either in college, military, or building up your practice, what was the biggest lesson that you had to learn that was formative for the kind of man you are today?
Yeah, there's just a couple different instances that have really built me up. First, when I was expanding offices.
Okay.
So delegating is really good if you're verifying that you're making sure that everybody's doing the work. Mm-hmm. So I love the aspect in the military that trust but verify.
Sure.
And one of the things that as you expand, you're having to make sure that everybody's coachable. Mm-hmm. And when you don't verify if they're doing things right, it makes it really hard to check and see if they're coachable. Mm-hmm. And so that became a big struggle for me because I hired my friends at first. So I just trusted them, right? We didn't verify each other. We didn't check in. We didn't even know we were struggling.
Yeah, because they're your boys.
Yeah.
They're going to take care of you, right? Yeah.
So we just thought we were good, We would check in, but we'd get the high fives, business is good. We stopped working on that personal level, and that really kind of affected us, and not just friendship-wise, but business-wise. Mm-hmm. And, that became a whole rabbit hole eventually where some of the small details were starting to slip, but we were kind of hiding him from each other because that's my boy. I don't want to let him down.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't want to struggle here. I don't want to communicate that because I don't want him to know. I don't want them to know that I'm struggling from some personal aspect of my life because I want to pretend that I'm so good in business.
Sure.
And that's where that mask started to develop and where we were trying to hide behind it over and over again. And it wasn't until one of my mentors gave me a huge advice nugget where every year we write our own book. And so each month's a chapter. A chapter in that book, we're self-writing. We're making sure we're building the teammates we want. For my friends that are married, that their wife and spouse is getting treated properly. I'm single, so am I writing my dates properly, that looking for the proper person?
Sure.
All the way to the people that we don't want in our life. And so the one thing I learned throughout that first year of writing the book was I was writing people into my story that I shouldn't allow on the page. So when I started eliminating those people, and I didn't even let them into the chapter, I started expanding faster. And then I started focusing on more of the small details.
Okay.
And started to fixate on what accumulates faster in the small details to make us more proficient. And then the story became more beautiful. And then it became better. And then I was able to help my friends better. I was able to show up more. And so we just kept going over and over again with each other to grow. And now we're all doing pretty well.
If you want to connect with high performers like today's and previous guests, I want to invite you to apply to join the Standard. We are a private membership community that improves the health, wealth, and relationships for six-figure earners who perform at the highest level physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially, and financially. What we offer is simple. We will give you a vetted local brotherhood of men on your level or above. We will give you a customized plan to build true generational wealth. We will give you a personal liaison to achieve all of your goals. If you are tired of being the most successful person in your circle, frustrated with always pouring into others, and not having anyone to pour into you, or you want to have conversations like the ones you're hearing today, in person, on a weekly basis, with fellow high performers, go to thestandardmen.com to apply. That's thestandardmen.com. Hit the link in the description below. Now back to the episode. Okay, that's amazing. So, I want to talk about that a little bit more because it sounds like you had to define some boundaries of like making sure negative influences weren't coming into your life while fostering the positive influences. What did that look like, and what were some of your criteria for that?
Yeah, I mean, elimination as you get bigger and bigger is just probably one of the most important things.
Okay.
Eliminating even as you grow, small tasks like laundry, mowing your yard, cleaning your house, they become a hindrance to your growth. So you have to delegate those at some point, but you have to have the money to properly delegate. So if you don't hit the goal properly, it will create more stress instead of it creating that momentum forward. So with that, I would say that the boundaries that we set for each other, knowing when it was work mode and when it was time to play and have vacations, was probably one of the most essentials. That to today is still where I struggle the most. Sure. Those boundaries of work-play balance really do become hard.
Well, you're talking about, you're relying on mentors to kind of give you that left and right limit of like, this is how you kind of set those boundaries while also fostering good relationships. What were some of the biggest pieces of advice that they gave you, like tangible advice on how to actually put that into practice?
I mean, writing it down is a big thing. Is when you write down your goals and boundaries, you stick to them. So every Sunday, I reread all of my notes for that week on what I wrote, what I was doing, and I have my checklist, and I want to make sure that I'm actually accomplishing everything I wanted to accomplish, but also I have on there is my boundaries, like what are my do's and don'ts? What can I say no to? What do I need to say no to? And
what are some of those things?
Even, just additional speaking engagements all the way to getting food with friends that aren't really there for you, that just want to be there. Definitely no to the parties that you get invited to. Now, you can go to those. You want to network, but you don't want to go just because every Friday night the boys want to go have a beer.
Right.
And so eliminating some of those stress and really focusing on stretching, health, eating properly, getting that rest when you need it is going to be probably the biggest boundary. Because, I mean, being in the military, we know that what the weekends used to be for are completely different than what they're for now.
Yeah, no, definitely. I remember because I was an infantry officer at the time, so like every Monday I'd always look to it with some dread because I'm like, all right, which private got into jail? Which private got into married a stripper? I did have one that married a stripper over the weekends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like right. I think it was like a month before deployments, and we were like, okay. Another one got a Corvette. I'm like, with what money? You're part of first class. You don't have the money for a Corvette. Anyway, so no, I respect that. So it sounds like do your mentors consistently kind of feed into you, kind of help keep you on track? Like, how tight are you with those mentors?
I mean, we're brothers and sisters at this point. Jen, her 40th birthday is coming up, and so we're all going to go to Europe for it and celebrate her. But, I mean, on the way here, I was talking to both of them, and, it's Eric's birthday. He's turning 42 today, so sending him congratulations. But it's more than that. Like, Tuesday morning, they sent me a check-in saying, hey, where's your head at? What's going on? Are you ready for a good day of practice?
Yeah.
And it's like, what am I dealing with? What am I needing to hang up? Because there's a tree outside the back of my office. All of that negativity, kind of put it in a bag, hang it up on that tree, and make sure that I'm not taking that into the office.
Right.
And so some days that you have to really just mentally bag that up and put it in there. Sometimes you even have to put it into a physical bag where you're like, hey, I need to take this out of my head and put it in here. Whatever it takes to actually get that visualization that you need to step up and you need to be there for the patients.
Okay. What do you do if you are kind of having a bad day? Let's say, you found the incidental finding of the lung cancer. How are you able to kind of compartmentalize that and then go on to treating your next round of patients? I'd imagine taking a lot of experiences from people on a day-to-day basis, when you're taking them from one to the other, can be a little bit draining at times. So how are you able to remain fresh so you can give every one of your patients like the experience that they deserve?
Yeah, so that's number one where I think I'm best at.
Okay.
I've been very blessed with that. I do give it to God every time. Okay. It's not on me to even the adjustment itself. I give to God. If they get better, it's because of God. If they get worse, it's in God's hands. It's not in my hands because all I'm doing is connecting that signal back up. Okay. I even think of it as an antenna that when they're disconnected, it's like a bent antenna. Yeah. When I get them straightened out, they're able to shoot that connection straight up. But how I'm able to do that, especially when it's difficult, is I connect to my breath. So getting that solid, big breath in and then just letting it out and getting right back into it. That's the fastest way that I've seen myself be able to reset my body, reconnect, and then get right back after it.
I could learn a little bit from you on breathing techniques to get myself reset. I find myself some days when there's a lot of tension building up, I just kind of let it build and build without finding a way of actually figuring out how to release it. And it negatively impacts me as a husband, as a father, as a friend, or what have you. So no, I think that's really cool that you've learned how to deal with all that. Well, and you seem to have a really good network of people that you work with. So my next question is, what attracted you to the Standard and why did you end up joining it eventually?
Yeah, so I absolutely love the Standard. I love what we stand for. A lot of my friends are chiropractors. And so, when you're working with your friends, there's always that comparison. And I've been very blessed. I am able to connect really well with patients, and I'm very rewarded for it. When we kind of grow together, there sometimes could be some jealousy, some disconnect when you're outperforming or they're outperforming. And so that little balance, I was finding that when we were talking about work, we couldn't really talk on the same level. And it was affecting the friendships. And
because you see yourself as competition, you want to show all your cards. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, we don't want to compare ourselves to each other. We want to focus on the patients. Yeah. We want to focus on the miracles. A lot of the times we focus on the numbers, where one would be like, I saw 100 today, and the next would be like, I saw 105. what are you doing? You could have saw 5 more, you know?
Sure.
And it would have kind of gotten into those little battles, or even worse, the snowstorm happened, right? Then I only see 5 patients. And then you start to compare. Well, they're up 40 minutes up the road and they still saw a full day. Then what am I doing wrong? Instead of thinking about what you're doing right. So those comparisons started to come in. With the standard, we're usually in different career fields, and we're all extremely successful. And that's what I love about it, is that we get to have that diversity in different businesses, how to approach things from different angles, and we can talk about things without having any ties to each other.
Yeah.
I did move to the DFW area, or Burleson, a year ago, just over a year now.
Okay.
And I haven't really connected with a lot of people. Like in my community, there's not a lot of business owners that are our age. And through that, you try to hang out, you try to get involved with some of the other business owners, but when they're 20 to 40 years older than you, you can't really relate to them, especially when you're on the same path money-wise as they are, and the same investments. And then they're like, hey, who's this young guy trying to do the same moves that I am? It just doesn't add up. But in the standard, there's a lot of us that are at the same level and the same age. And that's where it's really awesome to get to talk about investments. We get to talk about what our struggles are. We get to talk about relationships. We get to talk about every single aspect of our life and see how money can affect it, how the relationship can affect it, how it can affect us spiritually. When we're having a bad week, how physically it's harder to work out. And there's so many studs in this group that you get to be pushed. You'd be like, hey, I'm going to call one of our buddies, and he's going to get me through this next workout. He's going to get me through this next investment. He's going to get me through this next relationship step, because they've done it. That's why I love the standard.
What are some of the best experiences that you've heard from other people in the standard? Like, what are some things that you've kind of garnered from other people in the standard that you've been able to incorporate into your own life?
I mean, the gala and that experience where we were all together and we got to watch each other communicate with women. We got to watch how some of the successful relationships are done, how fun it can be, and how beautiful all of us are. Really, I mean, you know, that whole experience, the end of the year where we all gathered and we had those amazing speakers where they spoke love into us, and they really kind of showed us what the future could look like. I mean, there's no other experience like it. And then we also get to hear about the experiences where we get to go travel overseas together, or travel to a different state and get that 5-star or Michelin star experience. That's why, for one, I love my coaching group, because we go to Michelin star restaurants and we get that same experience. But to do it with your brothers that are all on different levels, it's a completely different experience.
No, I agree with that. I like what you said about the diversity of different people. It feels like you're getting an expert in every single different field, so you're able to kind of expand your worldview of like, oh, I didn't even realize you could make money doing this or doing that. I didn't realize this was a career field. So no, and we talked with another guy recently that talked about how he had like a kind of a community text group of people that were going to the gym every morning. Because it's one thing to go to the gym like on your own. It's another thing to, if you miss a day, but you're on a text thread of someone like, I just did my 45-minute workout. And you're like, all right, well, I guess I'm going later tonight because I can't just let a day go by when everyone else is hustling. So,
100%.
Yeah.
And the gym culture itself is kind of getting away from that in some aspects. There's some really good gyms that still bring it back in, but how many people just throw their hood up, throw their headphones on, and all you see is them struggle the whole gym? That's not what the whole gym mentality should be. We should be fist bumping. We should be spotting each other.
For sure.
We should be building each other up. We should be pushing for one more rep. That's the gym culture I grew up in, and that's what I love. And so when I do join a gym, if I'm not getting that, I'm either going to create it or I'm going to go to another gym.
That's an interesting point. I never thought about that, because most of my gym experiences have been it's just me, myself, and I in there. Like, no one in there, I think, would even notice whether I was in or out that day. So gave me something to kind of think about. Because there is something nice about having people that like, I remember a gym I went to, the first one I went to outside of the military. Because when I was in the military, like I go to the Army gyms and all my other infantry officer buddies are there. So obviously you're going to get some collaboration there. But then after I left, I had a guy that like I had been cutting for about like 4 months. And after a couple months, they're like, man, you're looking really good. I'm like, oh, thank you. Like someone else like noticed that I was making some progress. And so then we kind of helped keep each other on track. Like he was trying to get stronger and I was trying to get leaner. So we, give each other some compliments if we were doing good on good days. And then if we didn't see him for a whole week, be like, man, where you been? It's been like a week. I was like, oh, I had a rough week. Like, well, the body doesn't care that you had a bad week. You gotta take care of yourself, man. Yep. So, yeah.
I mean, I go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so
Same.
It's a different crew in there. Like the people that are there at 5 o'clock in the morning,
they're there to work.
They're there to grind.
Yeah.
And so everybody's tired these days, right? We're all super cortisol where everybody looks drained. But when you get the other 5 o'clock gym members all hyped up on either pre-workout, coffee, honey, whatever they do to get pumped up, and they're there to pump each other up and lift each other up, the reps matter. Everything just becomes more cohesive. And so that's one thing that I absolutely love about taking that into my practice as well, because the same thing happens. You want to be everybody's cheerleader in practice. You start it in the morning in the gym. So I'm already getting reps in before I even start my office.
Yeah.
I'm trying to lift people up. I'm trying to make sure that we're all on the same page. Mm-hmm. That way that community is just bigger and brighter.
Yep. And just you start off the day the right way. I actually tend to see myself more tired on my off days than I am on the days actually. Because when I go into the gym and start that off first thing in the morning, I feel like I have more energy the rest of the day. I don't know. There's just something about starting it off on that note just carries me the rest of the day. Maybe I'm a little more tired by the time I'm go to bed, but I mean, you're tired going to bed. You feel like that's the goal. Yep. You feel like you've done what you're supposed to do that day. So that's really, really good. How important is fitness to you in your day-to-day life? Like, because you're doing, most chiropractors I've met are usually pretty well into the fitness culture too. And I imagine you're probably in the same boat.
Yeah. I mean, you think I train to prepare for seeing the masses, right? You're more of a marathon adjuster when you're in shape and you think about like, I'll do 100 tricep extensions because throughout the days, I'm flexing my triceps 100 times, getting that neurofeedback, making sure that I'm adjusting the patient properly. So physical fitness is huge. I want to make sure that I stay in shape. I mean, I am injured. So I've had a lot of injuries throughout the military and then in chiropractic. I need to protect my body. Muscle protects the body. The more muscle mass you have, that's that fit, lean muscle, the easier the body is to perform. And so I'm a performer. I'm there to perform as much as I can for that patient. And if my body's not fit and ready to go, if it doesn't have the nutrition it needs, if it hasn't had the movement it needs, I'm not going to deliver the best adjustment. I think that one of the funniest things is in the morning, you can tell when I haven't gone to the gym, my joints will start to pop. And they're like, was that me or you? I'm always like, well, that was my elbow. That was my hand.
Right.
And that tells me I wasn't warm. I could be injuring my joints.
Yeah.
And that, if I injure myself, how am I going to take care of as many people as I want to? You know?
I agree with you there. I know it's important for me because probably even more just from like a mental standpoint where it helps me get into the right mindset for the rest of the day. Because if I can reach like a failure in a certain exercise on if I went through a hard thing, it's like, okay, this will be the hardest thing I'm doing, at least physically, for the rest of the day. And the work day hasn't even started yet. So it's off to the races from there. Well, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about like how, so you have your own chiropractic practice and you also own a couple other successful and you're bringing some others kind of up to a status quo. How does that work? Like describe your entire business and how that works and what you're trying to accomplish there.
Yeah. Number one, it comes to coaching and delegating.
Okay.
And, when I'm in patient mode, I'm in patient mode. So I do have a couple triggers to like if another doctor's struggling that I can kind of step out and help. But if I'm seeing a patient, I'm all about that patient.
Sure.
So I have ways that I can't get distracted as well. So I call it in the flow, where when I'm seeing patient to patient to patient, there's no disruption. I'm making sure I'm 100% focused. And then when I have ready time, when there's no patients in the office, I start a checklist. I start checking on the other doctors. I check on my staff. I make sure everything is flowing appropriately. And then, of course, on lunch, I catch up on any other task, rest, reset, and start back over. When it comes to running multiple clinics, it comes down to systems.
Okay.
Everything in my office is a system. So how I take care of patients is a system. How I check on other offices is a system. How I coach them is a system. I make sure that we're trying to check in and pump each other up as much as we can. And I also love to work on this mentality. So first thing I ask is, what did we do right? Then I ask, what did we do wrong? And then how can we improve? And then I usually end it on something that I'm grateful for that they're doing. So we just kind of coach in that over and over mentality. What did you do right? What did you do wrong? Were you self-aware enough to know what you did wrong? What can we improve? And then I'm thankful that we're improving.
Okay. For some of the systems, what systems specifically do you use for, if you're in one clinic, obviously you're focused there, doing your practice there. What are some of the systems you use to keep the other clinics on track?
Yeah, with that, we couldn't do it without our assistants. Our chiropractic assistants, they are amazing and fantastic. They communicate back and forth. So just same thing in the military. If there's a problem, lowest level, and then it elevates.
Okay.
The same thing happens in the office. If the staff can take care of it at staff to staff level, stays there. Then staff to doc, then doc to doc, then doc to owner.
Okay.
So it always will start at the bottom and work its way up. And then that, again, feedback trickles back down. So it's constantly a revolving cycle of ups and down where that communication's constantly flowing.
Okay. So it sounds like you're empowering everyone at the bottom level to be able to handle whatever conflicts or situations are arising on their end. How does that translate? How do they feel about that? It's like, how do you empower your lower levels to be able to handle those issues?
Yeah, so micromanaging is one of the biggest deterrents for business. People don't like to be micromanaged. Now, sometimes people want their hands held, and they're probably not the right fit for my office.
Sure.
I do not like micromanaging because you were in the military. When you're micromanaging, everything started to fall apart.
Yes.
You can't tell a person where to shoot. You just can't.
Yeah.
They have to know their role. They have to know where to execute. So the more you empower somebody to execute, the harder they actually will work because then they find their purpose in the job. So those are the key players we're looking for. We're looking for somebody that has purpose. They love watching the patient go from angry, in pain patient to happy, loving life patient.
Yeah.
Those are some of our favorites. The ones that came in that were like, oh, I don't want to do paperwork. I don't want to take x-rays. I'm in pain, blah, 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 blah. And then they turn into one of your biggest fans.
Yeah.
Those are some of the most rewarding, especially like we have miracles, which are extremely rewarding. And I love those. But when it comes to the staff side of things, when they see a patient angry and like hates them at first, and then a month later they're bringing them lunch,
Yeah.
that's a whole different ballgame.
That's a really cool experience. I'm assuming that the staff looks forward to those experiences whenever they do come up.
Yeah, because we try to win them over.
Yeah.
And we really bring that up over and over again, saying, hey, this person's just in pain. You have to remember that their cortisol levels are high, that they aren't in their right mind. Pain is completely taken over their system, and it takes over their thoughts. As we get them better, watch them change.
Okay. What are some of your goals right now with all the practices you have? What are some things you think are going well and some things that you want to try and improve on?
Yeah, the systems always need improving. Like you're always reevaluating your systems. You're always making sure that the docs are running the systems and then the staff are running them as well. Expansion creates a lot of conflict sometimes, especially when people aren't coachable. And so eliminating when we need to eliminate and then growing when we need to grow. And right now, I was about to buy 2 offices and I scratched them. I said, hey, we're not going to buy. We're going to focus internal first, make sure everybody's profiting, everybody's revenue is where we want them to be. And then we're going to set goals and then we'll expand.
Okay. What goes into that thought process? What made you decide that now was not the right time to acquire those 2 offices? What internal things did you want to try to fix first?
Internal things I don't want to fix first is just making sure that everybody's as independent as possible, making sure that they're ready to teach somebody if they're needing to. So, I mean, just like anything, if you know it well enough that you can teach somebody else, you know the system.
Okay, yeah.
And so it's not that I want them to teach other doctors. I want them to know it well enough that if they needed to, they can.
Okay.
Because then if they can take chiropractors under them as well, then think about how many more offices we could open. Instead of it just being one office at a time, now I can delegate and we can all open multiple offices at a time.
Okay. So it almost sounds like you're using a military principle. If I can use another one, the force multiplier method, right? You're trying to teach the teachers. You want to teach people to become proficient enough where they can mentor others and then onwards and forwards.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. I really don't.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that everything's as sustainable as possible, that will take care of my family, their families, and that this legacy will keep going on. Because it's not about me, it's about how we can create this system to be generational.
No, and I like that because I think a struggle point a lot of business owners have, and I've seen this with a lot of these conversations I've been having is, when you start up a business, you're kind of just filling in the gaps as needed. Like you're just trying to get it off the ground. So you're kind of the jack of all trades. And then a transition point happens where it's like, okay, I need to take myself out of it, put systems in place where I'm doing my thing and these systems are doing their thing. And you're able to kind of take yourself out of those day-to-day equations. Where basically these things are able to run on their own without your direct oversight all the time. Would you say that's a pretty similar situation with you as well?
I mean, absolutely. Chiropractic is like if you rich dad, poor dad. There's the quadrants.
Yes.
We're definitely in the quadrant that is dependent on us and our time to develop the business.
Right.
So how do we take ourselves to the other quadrant? It's really difficult in our profession to do. We have to delegate and we have to actually multiply ourselves to take ourselves out.
Yeah.
Now, even then, you can lose connection. Like there is a lot of chiropractic chains that lose that connection and lose that passion. My whole goal is as we expand, we actually cultivate that culture that it's always going to be about that performance, always about the top care, that we're that Michelin star and we don't turn into the McDonald's of chiropractic.
It's a good goal to have. All right. Well, it sounds like with everything that's going on there, I know you're investing into everybody else, trying to get them up to speed on where, you want them to be as proficient as you are. Like get these other practices to the point where they could teach the next offices if they have to. How long did it take for you to learn that? Like, was there a point in time where you kind of had to learn how to take yourself out or had you always understood that you needed some systems in place if you were ever going to grow?
I think as an entrepreneur, we always kind of know that.
Yeah.
But none of us want to actually do it.
Sure.
And so we like being the go-to guy. And that's where it becomes hard. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll say that is the biggest struggle, right? I still struggle with that because, of course, I think I can do it better. I do have a rule if somebody can do it 70% or better than me to delegate. But at the same time, it's never the same, no matter what the task is. I love all my friends that are providers, and I love how they take care of patients. But of course, I think I do it the best. Mm-hmm. I have to. That's part of the mindset that makes you one of the better providers, because if those patients didn't think you were the best, you wouldn't be giving them the best care.
Sure.
But at the same time, how do you train other people to be that way? Uplifting them, making sure that you're drilling and training, constantly meeting up, constantly practicing. But you do have to have that trust, and you do have to give them that empowerment to be the best version of themselves.
So And I know for a lot of people, there's a certain strength that they've relied on that they would recount as the biggest reason of why they've achieved as much success as they have. What would you say that your quote unquote superpower would be?
That's a good question. One thing is, I'm known for outworking pretty much anybody. If I see something needs to be done, I'm going to try to outwork anybody in the room. And usually that's why I'm one of the first people up, last one to sleep. That has also been where I sacrifice more, sacrifice relationships, sacrifice my own personal health, sacrifice different parts of even investments or money income to make sure that I'm producing the way I want to produce. My superpower probably is bringing people together and delegating appropriately, but also when there's a wall in front of me, I find a way to not only get around it, but usually break through it.
Break through it, yeah. Break through the difficulty wall. Well, I know that within the standard, they had the conference last year where they talked a lot about like building a legacy. And so to kind of go into that topic, what was the word legacy mean to you, or what you took out of that conference?
Yeah, legacy, I mean, that's how I started my chiropractic business. My first office was Legacy Family Chiropractic. That was basing pretty much everything off of that I wanted generational wealth. I wanted not only for me, my whole goal was every adjustment that I delivered was not going to only impact that patient's life, but the generations to come. We have a BJ Palmer quote, who was the son of the founder, who says, "You never know how far lasting the things you say, do, or act will affect the lives of many another." And he took that into the adjustment. And so we really wanted to focus on not just how we're taking care of people, but how it's impacting the community, how the community is impacting community. Because I think if everybody's well adjusted, we get rid of a lot of sickness, we get a lot of conflict, and a lot of discomfort that can really change generation to generation. Now, in my own personal life, I want to make sure that my kids are set.
Right.
I want to make sure not only do they have an America that I dream of, I want to make sure that they have the understanding and the rules on how to be successful. I want to make sure they have tools that are able to create success for them. I don't want them just to have money that they can spend. I have friends that are trust fund babies, and we see how they act.
Sure.
And, you know, I loosely use the word friends because they're not the same mentality because they don't have that work ethic.
Sure.
And that's something that if we're going to be a culture 100,000, 2,000 years from now, it's going to take the work ethic to get us there. And so that's where I want to create the tools for not only my kids, my grandkids, and their great-grandkids to make sure that they have the tools for generations.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. How do you personally want to be remembered?
So I want to be the founder of that generational wealth. Okay. Now, my father has done a very good job on passing some knowledge to me, and he's created a lot of stability for our family, but there's a lot of generational curses that never got passed down. I want to be the one to break all of the curses and pass down health and make, like, not just physical health, but mental health, that curse health, where when that comes up, because it will, that's the whole thing in curses. Yeah. They get passed down even if somebody broke them. But when they come to face them, that I gave them the tools that they had to shield, and it just glanced right off.
Sure. No, that's a really great mindset. I really like that. I know for me in my personal life, there's been a lot of things, particularly with like my dad and my grandpa and, you know, his dad before him, where there's a lot of sins that they kind of tend to get passed down from generation to generation. And that was a very big goal of mine. First off, there's a lot of single parent families in my family. And it's like, well, if we can at least break that one, that would be pretty nice. but also just being able to, have a mindset of being able to focus on our kids and not just living for ourselves and gratifying ourselves, but setting up success for them where I don't want them to have to worry or think about how am I going to take care of myself? How am I going to feed myself? I want them to be able to have that freedom of like, how do I invest into the community that's invested into me? So it sounds like you're really doing that. It sounds like you're doing that for, your practice, for your patients, and for everyone that's in your company. So sounds like a great place to work. So I'm excited to see them get off and running, and whenever you expand to some new places. Where are your locations? Actually, if someone wanted to find you, they got some lower back pain and they wanted to go to a place to try to get themselves adjusted, how can they find you in your practice?
Yeah, so myquantumchiro.com is my website. Innate, Z-A-K, Innate Zak is my Instagram handle. They can reach out to my office or to me on Instagram. If they are not in the Burleson or Fort Worth area, still reach out to me. Okay. I will find a practice near you. It may not be one of my companies, but I'll find the best chiropractor in your area and I'll plug you in with them. And that's really where I don't mind if it's me or my business. I just care that people get connected with the best people. Okay. That way they know what kind of care they're going to get, because, just like any profession, there's a lot of shams out there.
Sure.
So if I can vet them for people, I don't know everybody everywhere, but usually we can find somebody close enough that at least you'll get the best version of chiropractic in that area.
Okay, that sounds great. How can people find you personally?
The best way is Instagram, reaching out to me. That, again, is in numeral 8, Z-A-K, Innate Zak on Instagram.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate having you on the podcast today. This has been a really enlightening conversation, and best of luck to you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's truly been amazing.
Okay, sounds good.